Hey everyone, welcome to the Let's Talk Teaching podcast. My name is Kayla Durkin. I'm your host. I'm the face behind North Dakota Teaching. If we haven't met yet, be sure to come on over to Instagram and say hey. But I just have to say thank you so much for being here. I am so excited for everything that we have in store today. It is seriously my favorite time of year. We're wrapping up one school year. We're preparing for the next school year. Many of you who are listening to this, you are currently in college, you're finishing up with your student teaching, and you are in one of the most exciting times of your life. This is just the beginning of your teaching journey. You're getting ready to apply to your dream teaching position. You're finalizing your resume. You're getting your cover letter all good to go. You're maybe prepping your portfolio, just doing all of the things that you should be doing right now. So it is a really exciting time for all of you, but this truly is just the beginning. I have a series for first year teachers that we are going to be going over the next few weeks. If any of you are new here and you have not listened to any of my previous podcasts, I did an interview series last school year that you are definitely going to want to go check out. Look for interviewing tips part 1, interviewing tips part 2. They are perfect for where you are at in your journey. So here's what's going to happen. Today, I'm going to cover 10 first year teacher mistakes and how to avoid them. And then next week, I'm going to start going over some Q&As, questions that soon to be first year teachers have submitted and they want me to answer. So if you have a question, if you're listening to this right now and you're like, I have a million questions, pick one, pick two, pick three, send them my way so that I can answer them over the next couple weeks. And with that, I actually have one more thing I want to tell you. I already told you it's my favorite time of the year, but with that, we have some even more exciting things. On April 18th, April 21st, and April 23rd, I am hosting a free webinar, 10 teacher must-dos for a killer first year in the classroom, and I want you to be there. I have 300 spots saved, and as of right now, this very moment where I am recording this podcast right now, 142 of those spots are already claimed. So as soon as you are listening to this, as soon as you are in a safe spot, you're not driving or anything like that, I want you to pull over. I want you to go to ndteaching.com/webinar. And I want you to choose a date that works for you. Save your spot as soon as you can. If the website is working, if it's up and running, if you are able to select a webinar date, that means there's at least one spot left. And that one spot is saved for you. I know after this podcast goes out, those spots are going to get taken up really, really quickly. So as soon as you listen to this, make sure you save your spot. And with that, oh, actually, I have one more thing to say too. So you guys know that I am the host of the Blossoming Teacher course. It has been my passion over the past couple of years to support first year teachers as they are venturing into their first year of teaching. And that's what this podcast is all about too, providing you the support that you need to feel confident and successful during your time in the classroom. And so I do just want to let you know, in addition to those free webinars happening that week, I am also accepting new members into the Blossoming Teacher course. Before we know it, it is going to be summer and it is going to be full steam ahead. Beginning on June 1st, we are going to have our kickoff party for all of our brand new members. I have a goal of having 100 brand new teachers in our Blossoming Teacher course for the upcoming school year. I'm setting that cap at 100 teachers just because I want to make sure that I have the time and the capacity to help each and every one of you. So just know, as you are thinking about signing up for the 10 teacher must-dos for a killer first year, I also want you to have the Blossoming Teacher course in the back of your mind, because as I said, there's 100 spots and you, my friend, should be one of those 100 people. You are more than welcome to join us. Okay, and with that, let's get into it. 10 first year teacher mistakes and how to avoid them. So mistake number 1, trying to be the cool teacher. We all want to be the cool teacher. Nobody wants to be the lame teacher. Nobody starts out teaching thinking, man, I hope those kids think I'm the worst. I hope I am the scum between their toes. Please tell me you've seen that movie. It is totally a 90s reference. But anyway, trying to be the cool teacher can be a mistake. If you start out being too nice, too kind, letting things slide, letting your students get away with things that maybe strict teachers would never allow, those kids are going to walk all over you. Typically at the beginning of the school year, there's this honeymoon phase where the students are just super awesome. They're super sweet. They're so kind. But then the honeymoon phase ends. And if you do not have your ducks in a row, if you aren't ready to be consistent in your expectations, it's probably going to be a very, very, very long year. So don't worry about being the cool teacher. Worry about being the teacher who sets those expectations, because I always say this: students will rise to the level of expectation that you set for them. And through that, you can still be a very cool teacher. You maybe just won't be the cool teacher at the beginning, the teacher that gets walked all over, the teacher that can't get their kids to listen, the teacher that gets so burnt out because they do not have their classroom management set in place. So don't worry about being the cool teacher. Worry about being the teacher that sets those expectations for their students. Mistake number two that first year teachers make is saying yes to everything. And I know this one's so hard, especially as new teachers. We are just naturally giving people. That's what teaching is all about. We give and we give, but during your first year of teaching, you are going to be pulled in so many different directions. And I want you to be comfortable saying no. Between the different clubs and committees, after school programs, sports, whatever, there is just a lot coming your way. And typically it is all hands on deck. I want you to get involved. I want you to use your talents and let your creativity shine. But I also want you to take time to focus on just being a first year teacher, because that is enough. Don't make the mistake of over involving yourself and taking on too many commitments until you're burning the candle at both ends. Do what you can and be comfortable saying no to the things that you can't. Mistake number three that first year teachers make is not having an organizational system. And I know it's so hard to envision all the paperwork, the forms, the lesson plans, all of the materialistic items that you're going to have start stacking up day after day after day. But trust me when I say this, if you don't have a plan for staying organized, you're going to waste so much time. You're going to lose so many important documents. You're going to have to reprint things that you know you just had. And honestly, you're probably going to lose your mind, because that was me. That was me. I lost my mind during my first year of teaching. Anytime someone gave me something important, I could not find it for the life of me. And honestly, people were getting really annoyed with me. I had to find a system. So I don't know if you've heard this quote, but Benjamin Franklin once said, "For every minute you spent organizing, an hour is earned." And so your friend Kayla Durkin here is saying, for every minute you don't spend organizing, an hour is lost. Trust me, learn from my mistake. I lost so many precious hours my first year of teaching trying to find things that were right in front of me, but I just didn't have that system in place that would allow me to easily find the things that I was looking for. So, as you're sitting here listening to this, trying to think of organizational systems that would work for you, as you're finishing up your practicum experiences, as you're in classrooms, look around, ask questions, ask, how do you stay on top of that? How do you file that away? How do you make sure you don't lose anything important? Ask those questions now while you are able to see it in other people's classrooms, and start thinking about how you can make it work for you. Mistake number four that first year teachers make is not being consistent with routines and procedures. And this kind of goes back to mistake number one of trying to be the cool teacher, because sometimes we just want to let things slide. But listen to me. Students thrive from consistency. We all thrive from consistency. Oftentimes, we feel like that routine or procedure that we just implemented isn't working, but it's not the routine's fault, and it's certainly not our students' fault. It's more likely that we aren't following through with what we set in place. So many of our students come from chaotic lives. Nothing in their life is stable, but we as teachers, we get to be that one thing in their day that they can count on. When you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So don't make the mistake of not thinking through how you're going to implement the routines and procedures in your classroom. Think through them now, and it will save your sanity later. If you're thinking about this and wondering, okay, how do I know all of the things that I need to do? This is one of my very, very, very favorite parts of the Blossoming Teacher course. I have an entire section on routines and procedures, and it's pure gold. Teacher after teacher after teacher has said, I've taken your checklist, I have worked through those things, and now I have all of those routines and procedures set in stone in place for my classroom. And honestly, they are able to avoid that burnout because they've put those things in place. A lot of times, teachers get burnt out because they don't have those good routines and procedures. They're getting stressed out because things aren't working the way they thought they should work. But if you implement them right away, if you take time to think about how you want it to work, you're going to save your sanity seriously. So that's one of my very favorite modules from the Blossoming Teacher course. I really hope you take time to check that out. And with that, let's check out mistake number five. Again, this is another part of the Blossoming Teacher course, and this one is a doozy, but letting those grades stack up. It's so easy to take that stack of papers, put them in a drawer or a folder, and just think out of sight, out of mind. but eventually the pile gets too big and you cannot pull yourself out. And before you know it, grades and report cards are due and you are stressed up out to your eyeballs. You can't do everything every single day. You can't grade every single paper every single day. Well, I mean, maybe you can, but nobody wants to, especially as you dive into your teaching career. You just don't have time for it. So instead of trying to do all of the things all of the time, all I'm asking is for you to think through how you can come up with a plan, how you can come up with a routine so that you can stay on top of your grading. Okay, mistake number 6. This is a tough one to talk about, but it's the way first year teachers reply to negative emails. It's inevitable. You are going to get an email that is like off-putting, that you are not super thrilled about, that kind of makes you angry or kind of makes you feel resentful, something that is going to make you feel like, no, I am doing my job the right way, or no, I am providing the support that I need to, no, I am doing what I need to do for this student. Whatever it is, whatever, there's going to be emails that upset you. And oftentimes our instinct is like, okay, well, I need to get on top of this. I need to set the story straight. No, 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 no. As a first year teacher, when you get these emails that are a little bit off-putting to you, I don't want you to think that you have to reply right away and defend yourself. Instead, I really want you to take time to think through how you can reply in a positive manner. And sometimes we just need to get it off our chest. And so let me tell you a little secret that a lot of teachers do. And it is, instead of hitting reply, they open up a document or they open up a blank email or they open up a notes page and they reply all of the things that they really want to say that they know they can't say. And then when they get done typing it, they read it over and then they hit delete. Now here's the kicker. Make sure you don't hit reply and type what you really want to say in the email that's right there sitting in front of you, because you might accidentally hit send, or you might get the courage and hit send, and you absolutely can't do that. We cannot reply to emails the way we truly feel like we deserve to reply to emails, the way we want to reply to emails. Instead, we need to take some time, go for a walk, go home, sleep on it, and reply the next day. And 9 times out of 10, you're not going to be able to say what you really want to say. And that's okay. You need to stay positive. You need to put your students' needs first, and you need to make sure that you are taking your feelings out of the email. Make it objective. That is all. So I could talk about this one for days, but mistake number 6 that first year teachers make is they feel like they need to defend themselves and they reply to negative emails in a way that is not productive, and it actually makes them look pretty bad. So think about that. And let's talk about mistake number 7, which is not asking for help. This one is so easy, but it's so incredibly hard. When we start teaching, we don't want to ask for help. We feel like we need to be able to know it all. We feel like we need to be able to do it all. And we hate admitting that we just maybe don't know something. But first year teachers, let me remind you, you don't know what you don't know. This is your first time in your whole entire life that you're doing this very crazy thing called teaching. So if there's something you're unsure of or you're not sure how to handle, reach out and ask for help. Us veteran teachers, we really do want to see you succeed. I can say for the most part, almost every single teacher wants to see the teacher next door doing all of the right things. And so if that means extending a hand and helping them along the way, we want to do that for you. You're not in this alone. You don't have to know it all. Reach out and ask for help. I promise you, we want to help see you succeed. Mistake number 8 kind of also goes back to mistake number 1, but not holding students accountable. As I said, students will rise to the level of expectation that we set for them. And sometimes we have to be very strict about the expectation that we are setting. Now, we want it to be reasonable, of course, reasonable, doable. We want students to be able to reach that expectation. But sometimes we feel like, oh, well, maybe I'll just let it slide. Maybe I'll just let it go this time. Okay, make sure you handed it on time the next time. No, 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 no. Don't do that. We need to hold our students accountable. We need to set that expectation. We are teaching them to be responsible citizens. So as long as it is a reasonable expectation that you're setting for them, please make sure that you do hold them accountable. If you say this is going to be a consequence of this action, then stay true to that. If you say a paper is due by this day, make sure you hold them accountable to that date. And if they don't turn it in, make sure you have a plan of what's going to happen next. We need to hold students accountable. We need to make sure that we are helping them become responsible citizens. Mistake number 9. This is one of those classic, I totally didn't learn that in college examples, but it's not forming relationships with parents from the start. Nobody teaches you how to form relationships with parents. It's just expected that you do it. However, oftentimes first year teachers are terrified of parents. They want to make sure they say and do all of the right things, but they're just not really sure how to go about it. And before you know it, their first contact with a parent is due to a negative incident. Hear me loud and clear when I say, do not let your first contact home be because of an incident. You need to make contact right away from the very start of the school year. Again, another one of those things that we're going through in the Blossoming Teacher course, but you are all on the same page. You all want to see that student succeed. So start at the very beginning of the school year, start building the relationship from the very beginning, because when something happens and you need that parent support, you will already have that relationship built. And that is a beautiful thing. Mistake number 10 is not creating a culture of community within your classroom. First year teachers often feel like they need to dive straight into the content. There's so many standards they have to get to. There's so many things that they need to teach, so many things that they want to make sure that they get to throughout the school year. And because of that, they dive straight into the content and they don't take enough time building that relationship. Let me say this. I know I keep saying, hear me loud and clear, but let me say this for the people in the back: relationships first, everything else second. That goes school wide for sure. Relationship with your principal, relationships with administration, relationships with your colleagues, relationships with the support staff, relationships with the paras and the substitute teachers, relationships with the janitors, relationships with anybody who works in that building, the cooks, the bus drivers, whatever it is. We need a relationship with all of them, but a huge mistake that first year teachers make is not forming that relationship with their students from the start, because they feel like they have to dive straight into that content. If you take time up front and put that energy into building those relationships with your students, you will get that time back with your students tenfold. If you do not take time up front building that relationship with your students, you're going to lose a ton of instructional time, because you're going to consistently have to continue to go over things again and again and again that you probably wouldn't have to if your students had that relationship with you. Students need that buy-in. They need that trust factor. They need to know that you are someone that they can look up to, that they can trust, that is going to respect them. And so when they have those things, when you meet those needs, they are 10 times more likely to put in the work and do the job that they need to inside of the classroom. So those are the 10 mistakes that first year teachers make that I have for you. There's about a million more. And if you want a bonus one, mistake number 11 that first year teachers make is not having a mentor. And that's what the Blossoming Teacher course is all about. I want to be here to support you every single step of the way. We get online, we get on Zoom every single month so that you can chat about every single thing that's going on in real life as you go through it, from behaviors that you need to work through, from tips and strategies that you need for grading or contacting parents or whatever it is. Every single month, we hop online and we talk through all of those things. And we have teachers from all over the country. One of the biggest questions I get is, do you only support North Dakota teachers because you're North Dakota teaching? And no, absolutely not. I have teachers from all over: California, Florida, Texas, you name it, New York. I think I have an Oregon or a Washington. They're in the course. I've supported over 100 teachers already, and I'm looking for 100 more to support beginning on June 1st. Registration starts April 18th, so please make sure you do not miss out. Again, I want you to come join me for the webinar as well, 10 teacher must-dos for a killer first year. You can head to ndteaching.com/webinar to save your spot. Again, I told you at the beginning, as we started recording this, I only have 158 spots left. I think, is that what I told you? I think I told you I had 142 signed up, which would make 158 left to go. So make sure you save your spot. I know these are going to go fast. There is so much goodness coming. Get excited. And again, if you have questions that you want me to answer about your first year of teaching, make sure you send them to me. I will be answering those on the upcoming podcast in the upcoming weeks. So I will see you very, 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 very soon. So much goodness is coming. Alrighty. See you later.